What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this being my review for 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. This is season 9 and episode 12. So I really thought that there were going to be so many more episodes than 12 episodes. So I'm so glad that we're still kind of at the beginning of the season. A couple things I want y'all to do before we get started. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Press that big red subscribe button, or it may not be red. I don't know, but it's a big subscribe button. It's free and easy to do. Takes less than a second to mash that thing, y'all. So go ahead and mash it for a brother. Also, be sure to leave a thumbs up for this video. Let me know you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Also, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the various couples that we're discussing on this evening. And also be sure to press the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Dustin told me that he's going to be a little bit late, so we will see him once he gets in. But we have a couple comments in the comment section. We see Lady Virgo in the building. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Lady Virgo. So wonderful to see you in the comments, boo. Love you, girl. She also gave us a couple hearts here. Also, Auntie Robin is in the comments. Auntie Robin, hey. Auntie Robin said hello to Lady Virgo and happy Monday. And then Auntie Robin said hello to me. Thank you so much, Auntie Robin. So glad that you all are here joining us for this once again being our 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After Season 9, Episode 12 review. Once again, Dustin should be coming in momentarily, but we'll go ahead and get this party started. So we will start with... Let me see here. I got to get to my couples here. So let's start with Jasmine and Gino. So in episode 11, on the previous episode, Jasmine revealed to Gino that she's moving to Miami with Matt. And she also revealed to him that she was pregnant. So apparently there was some overlapping between the Last Resort, 90 Day Fiance Last Resort, and Happily Ever After, because Jasmine showed up to the Last Resort tell-all extremely pregnant, very much showing. Seems like she was about to pop when she showed up to the tell-all for the Last Resort. But in this particular episode, or in episode 11 rather, she was just telling Gino that she was pregnant and she was moving to Miami with Matt. And also she also revealed to Gino that she no longer wants to be with him, that they are no longer going to be together. Auntie Robin says down in the comments, Jasmine and Gino, insufferable. Yes, but Jasmine did end things with Gino on episode 11. And so I'm so glad that she made that decision. Gino, in his confessional, he actually started crying, which made me feel that he might have. I mean, it's not that I didn't think that Gino didn't love Jasmine. It's just that he had a very, very sore and bad way of showing affection towards Jasmine, or showing her that he loved her, or giving her words of affirmation. And, you know, a lot of those things that, you know, I know not every man really necessarily does that, but as far as I'm concerned, when I see relationships, let's say on TV or movies, that's what I expect to see. I expect to see men, you know, uplifting their women, and also women uplifting their men as well. It has to go both ways. And it seemed like Jasmine would do that all the time. She would talk to everyone about how sexy she thought Gino was. And, you know, although, you know, I chose not to believe that she actually thought those things necessarily. But it was just, it was, yeah, it was just that type of thing. But, you know, Jasmine just cut it off with Gino. Now, she didn't necessarily ask for a divorce per se, but she did tell Gino that, you know, she's done with him, that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. And we also saw in the preview for episode 13 that Gino actually ended up telling, I think it was his uncle, or maybe some other family member, that ended up walking Jasmine down the aisle during their wedding on the original appearance of 90 Day Fiance, that she moved to Miami with Matt, and, you know, she's pregnant, and he says, you know, karma's a bitch, and, you know, all that good stuff. So birds of a feather flock together. So that's the thing. But I'm so glad that Gino is not tied to Jasmine anymore. I mean, of course, divorces take a very long time to actually process and go through. Sometimes people can be, you know, separated for up to a year, even, you know, multiple years before the divorce is actually finalized. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm so glad that Jasmine decided to make that decision to leave Gino and move forward with Matt. I think she knows that Matt could be a better man for her. Not necessarily sure after seeing episode 12. And there's something about Jasmine that I need to get out really quickly. I'm starting to see that Jasmine wasn't acting the way she was acting with Gino because Gino was treating her so bad. Jasmine was acting that way because that's the way Jasmine acts. Jasmine is very much a drama queen. Jasmine will always find something wrong with something that's going on in her relationship. Now, I don't know if she's bringing up these various things because she's on TV and she wants to, add a little drama to her storyline. I have no idea if that's the case, but the way that Jasmine was kind of treating Matt is almost close to the way that she was kind of treating Gino. I think Jasmine sees herself as a princess. I think Jasmine sees herself as a queen, which, all women should, and all men should see themselves as kings as well, but not to the point to where your ego is so bloated that you think that you're the best thing since sliced bread, that you think you're God's gift to women or men. So there's kind of a fine line between the two, but anyway, so we start off the scene between Jasmine and Matt on the beach. They're on the beach, and Jasmine is putting some sunscreen on her belly, and Matt's got some vegan ribs. Now, I've never heard of vegan ribs before. I did not know that vegan ribs were a thing. I don't know if Matt was necessarily telling the truth as far as whether those ribs were vegan or not, but it is what it is. Jasmine said that she hasn't eaten meat in almost over 10 years or whatever the case might be, but she was chomping down on those ribs. And so Matt is really, really thinking that this is going to be a boy, very, very much so, because of the way that the baby is always kicking, the way that, Jasmine has been eating and things of that nature. He has a very, very high hopes that this is going to be a boy. He said this is going to be his first child. So, he thinks that it's going to be easier to raise a boy, whereas with a girl, you have to do little tea parties with them. He even made the comment of whether he has to walk his daughter. And that I hope that he did not actually mean that when he said that, because that makes me think that Matt is a very ignorant type person. But I just hope that he was just saying that for the cameras. But anyway, so Jasmine and Matt, they go to the OBGYN to get an ultrasound, and they're going to find out the gender of their baby. And Matt, once again, he's hoping that this baby is going to be a boy. Sorry, I have to move my seat up a little bit. I hate when my seat is down. But anyways, and so Matt is hoping that he's going to have a boy. And Jasmine really, really doesn't necessarily have a preference one way or another. She just wants the baby to be healthy, which I believe that should be the case for anyone. But of course, everyone's going to have their preference, whether they want a boy or a girl. I think that's very natural. So they're in the OBGYN's office, and as soon as they get into the office, the receptionist says that her name is Gina. And Jasmine is taken aback by this. And she says, "Oh, my husband's name is Gino. But, this is the father of the baby. But Gino's not the father of the baby." And I'm like, is that something that you want to tell a stranger in your OBGYN's doctor's office, that you have a husband, but you have a second man who is the father of your child? Like, I don't know if I would just put that out there in the atmosphere, just all willy-nilly. But I mean, of course, Jasmine's on TV. Jasmine's got a camera in front of her face. So of course she's going to want to at least try to lighten up the mood, I guess. But anyway, so Jasmine and Matt, they find out that they are going to have a girl. And Matt's reaction may not be the best. It's not the best that you would expect for any prospective parent. He doesn't seem to be necessarily happy. He's constantly saying, "I think there might be, some genitals. I think there might be a penis there. I think he's literally trying to find, evidence that this baby is a boy and not a girl." So it's clear that Matt does not. I don't want to say he doesn't want to have a girl, but he's not necessarily that happy that this new baby that he's going to have with Jasmine is a girl. And Jasmine, initially, she's asking him, well, if it is a girl, before they find out, she's saying that if it is a girl, you're still going to love her, right? And Matt says, kind of reluctantly, but he says, yes, I'm going to love the baby regardless. And so, again, I don't know if Matt's reaction is his genuine reaction or if he's just saying this just for the cameras. And that's kind of a tricky line to kind of figure out while you're watching these episodes of 90 Day Fiance. We'll get to Stacey and Darcy a little bit later, because I feel like a lot of times that they drum up a lot of drama just for drama's sake, just for reality TV show's sake, just to have something going on in their storyline so that they can come back for a following season, or for another season later on down the line. So it is what it is. But we did see in the preview for the next episode that Jasmine does confront Matt about his reaction to the fact that they're going to have a girl. I have a feeling that I'm going to start not liking Jasmine, because all of this time that I've seen Jasmine on 90 Day Fiance, I have been praying for her to get with a man who would appreciate her and treat her like the queen that she is. And that's not to say that, Gino is a bad man. I just don't feel as though Gino knows how to be a loving partner to his significant other. I don't know if he's had experience in the past with women where he's been genuinely affectionate towards them, and he seems to be very much lacking in that department. And anytime that you're in any relationship, whether you're with a man, woman, trans, whatever, whomever you are with, if you're lacking affection, if your partner is one who lacks affection as well, and that's not your thing, then I'm sure it'll work out just fine. But if your partner desires to have affection thrown on them every now and then, and you are not willing to give that to them, then that's obviously going to be a problem. So we'll see what happens with Jasmine and Matt as time goes on. But I just have a funny feeling that, because for those of you guys who have been watching my reviews on 90 Day Fiance since I started doing 90 Day Fiance reviews, Jasmine has honestly been one of my favorites in this space, and I have a feeling that that's going to change. I see Dustin is coming into the room. What's going on, Dustin? How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I just doing it from my cell phone today in the car. So I'm doing it from my cell phone on the car. I
Oh,
mean, just
okay.
kind.
All right, no problem. I'm just glad that you were able to join us today. I started out with Jasmine and Matt, but I don't know if you saw episode 11. But in episode 11, Jasmine revealed to Gino that she was pregnant, and I'm guessing that this is overlapping from their time in The Last Resort, because she showed up to the
Yeah,
tell-all fully pregnant. But in this particular episode, in episode 11 of Happily Ever After, she's just now revealing to him that she was pregnant. But what was your thoughts on Gino's reaction to her telling him that she was pregnant and that she's moving to Miami with Matt?
well,
Dustin, what was your reaction to to Jasmine telling Gino that she's moving to Miami with Matt and that she's pregnant by Matt? What was your reaction to her telling him that?
I didn't like that. That was kind of interesting to me, but that I didn't like that part so far.
And why didn't you like that?
I just didn't like the way he took the thing. So I didn't like the way it happened like that.
Were,
Mhm.
were you surprised that Gino was emotional in his confessional when he said that he thought Jasmine loved him and he thought that their whole relationship was a lie? Were you surprised that he was so emotional? Because I was shocked to see him crying.
I was surprised too. I was kind of not expecting like that, but they never know what to respect when you're doing this kind of show like this.
Exactly, exactly. So in episode 12, I just spoke about this before you came on. Jasmine and Gino, not Jasmine and Gino. Oh, I got to get used to saying Jasmine and Matt. Jasmine and Matt went to the OBGYN to get an ultrasound to find out the gender of their baby. And Matt was telling Jasmine that he wants to have a boy. He really, really wants to have a boy. And, he's not even considering the option or the possibility that they might have a girl. And then when they find out that it is a girl, Matt doesn't have the best reaction. Were you surprised that Matt didn't seem too
Yeah.
happy to find out that they were going to have a girl?
Yeah, I just didn't expect. Like I said, I don't think that Matt was too happy with it, and I don't know why. But as long as it's healthy and happy, that's all that matters to me. Hmm.
Right, exactly. That's what I would think. I would think that, I understand people having a preference, and I said this before you came on, Dustin. I understand people having a preference. But if you find out that your baby is not what your preferred gender is, you can't just throw the baby away. You still have the obligate, at least in my opinion, that you still have the obligation to love that child as your own, and to
All
take care of
right,
that child in the right way. And we saw in the
correct.
preview for the next episode that Jasmine confronts Matt on his reaction to finding out that they're going to have a girl and not have a boy. Is there was a soundbite where she said that he can't be in her life, but I think that that was the tail end of another statement that she was making. I
Mm,
don't think that she was telling Matt that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. But
mm,
it didn't seem like Jasmine had too much of a problem with his reaction when they were on the OBGYN office. But now all of a sudden, when we get to the next episode, she all of a sudden has a problem with it. So to me,
yeah.
that's just Jasmine playing reality TV show games. I don't think
Yes.
we're getting Jasmine's true and authentic reaction or feelings towards certain things that are happening in the moment. Because when we
I
get to
don't
the
think we.
next moment, she has a difference of opinion. Go ahead, Dustin.
I don't think we ever get her true. I don't think we ever get her true thoughts on this show. I think she's just doing it for the show, and she's going to continue to do it this way. But I don't think we ever see the true Jasmine. To be honest with you, Jonathan.
I can agree with that as well. I think Jasmine is somewhat of a caricature. I think that's the right
Mhm.
word. Caricature
I think she's
of
fighting
what
who she
she
really is.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's showing what she feels like people will respond to that are watching the show. I don't think that she's really giving her true feelings or her true authentic thoughts on what is actually going on. But I mean, I guess I should not be surprised because this is who Jasmine has been since she started on 90 Day Fiance.
Hmm.
So I guess I was saying a little bit before you got on, Dustin, that I have a feeling that I'm going to start not liking Jasmine as much as I have in the past, because I've said in
I
the
don't like
past that
Matt, so I guess we're. I guess we're. I don't like Matt, so I guess we're together in
what?
that part. Hmm.
Why don't you like Matt, Dustin?
I don't agree with what they said on the episode. Hmm. I
Oh,
don't. I
okay.
don't.
I will say though that Matt seems to look different than when we saw him on those phone calls in the last resort. Obviously,
Uh,
he's cut his hair off, so he seems to have aged quite a bit since the last resort. I don't know, and even in the tell-all, he still had his hair there, and he looked like he looked on the last resort. So that was
mhm.
a little bit confusing to me, but whatever. But let's move on to Jovi and Yara, as well as Alexi and Lauren. But the husbands aren't necessarily involved in this episode. It's more
Mhm.
Yara and Lauren who have met up at a hair salon. They're getting their hair done, and there's this group. That includes Elizabeth as well. Elizabeth, these all three of these couples are living in Miami, and so
Right.
something went down at Yara's event in a previous episode where Lauren and Elizabeth were going back and forth. Elizabeth said that Lauren's husband Alexi was body shaming her while she was pregnant. Now we all know that Lauren has had some issues, some body image issues. Some people may say that she's body dysmorphic, meaning that
Mhm.
she sees something that no one else sees, and that she has some issues. She did have a mommy makeover on a previous season of 90 Day Fiance, so
Yes.
it would not surprise me if Alexi said these things towards Lauren. I don't know if Lauren felt that these comments were body shaming, but if they were seen through text message by someone else, they might
Right.
see it as body shaming. But Lauren was extremely offended by the fact that Elizabeth brought these things up. And also, Yara brought up the fact that Lauren said that Elizabeth's husband, I don't have his name down here right now, but she said that
Andre.
Elizabeth's Padre. Okay. She said that Elizabeth's husband Padre was a bad person. I can't remember the exact words that were used, but apparently Yara told Elizabeth that Lauren said these things about Elizabeth's husband, and Lauren has an issue with this. And now Yara is trying to get these girls back on the good foot because she wants to stay in Miami while her husband Jovi wants to move back to Louisiana, where his family is, and the cost of living is a lot cheaper, whereas in
Mhm.
Miami it's more expensive to live. And Yara does not want to go back to Louisiana, and so
Uh,
Yara is shopping for ski clothes because she wants to take Lauren and Alexi, as well as Elizabeth and Pavi, or whatever her husband's name is. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now. What is his name again, Dennis?
his,
Dustin.
his name is Audrey.
Uh, you said
Audrey.
Andre?
Yes.
Okay, her so she
Mm.
wants to take the other two couples on a ski trip. And Elizabeth is a little bit reluctant to go on the ski trip because there's so much bad blood between her and Lauren. Now, to me, I just feel as though this is all really, really petty drama, whereas Lauren is taking all of this extremely seriously, and so is Elizabeth. Whereas Yara is like, why can't y'all get along so I can tell my husband Jovi that I have a circle, that I have a community, that I have people that are here in Miami that I want to spend time with and that I want to be around. So, Dustin,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts overall on the drama between these three couples? Just in
Uh,
general, what are your
I
thoughts
don't
on what's going on?
I don't like the drama, and I hope they get along. But that's just my I don't like the drama, and I hope that they can work it out together. Hmm.
Yeah, to be honest, I did not like Lauren in the previous season that we saw her on 90 Day Fiance. I can't remember exactly the title that we first saw her and Alexi. But I thought Alexi, first of all, Alexi is a fine man child. And Lauren, I did not like the way that Lauren was sort of kind of acting like Jasmine in the way that she wants to be pampered, she wants to be taken care of. And yes, granted, she was getting a mommy makeover on the previous season that we saw her on. So I guess her husband would be waiting on her hands and foot, taking care of the kids, doing the laundry, all this type of stuff. But I just didn't have the best of feelings towards Lauren at the time. But I'm hoping that as time goes on, I'll be able to feel a little bit better about Lauren. I feel as though I do like Elizabeth when I saw her in the 11th episode. She seems to have her head on straight. I do like the relationship between her and her husband. And I hope that as time goes on, I'll feel
Hmm.
better about them as time goes on. But to be honest, I honestly don't care about Lauren. I like her husband, Alexi. Alexi can stay. We can watch him all day long. I don't mind seeing him on my TV screen or on my tablet, which is usually just how I watch these shows. But Lauren can come or go. It is what it is. But of course, a lot of times with these 90 Day Fiance episodes and series, that they tend to focus more on the women than they do on the men. So I guess that's kind of the way that we have to work things out. But are you expecting for things to kind of smooth out between Lauren and Elizabeth? Because I have a feeling that Elizabeth, Lauren said that Elizabeth crossed a girl code line that shouldn't be crossed. And Lauren doesn't seem like she's open to forgiving Elizabeth because Yada didn't even tell Lauren that she's inviting Elizabeth on the ski trip. It doesn't seem like Lauren even knows about it yet. So do you think that things will smooth out between Lauren and Elizabeth?
No, I do not.
I don't think so either. I honestly don't think so either. I don't expect them to smooth things over. I would hope that they could come to an agreement and just, get along, just to get along, but I don't see it happening either. Let's see here. The next couple that we have here is Darcy and Georgie. So Darcy and Georgie, they are in Georgie's home country. I can't remember exactly what country he's from. I think they're
Gloria,
Bulgaria.
Gloria,
Bulgaria,
Bulgaria.
yeah. He's originally from Bulgaria.
Yeah,
And she's inviting her sister Stacy and Florian, who's one of my favorites. I love seeing Florian, child. Florian is one of my favorites on 90 Day Fiance, but they're having this
yeah,
ceremony. I can't remember exactly what they called it, but she wants to wear her wedding dress and wants Georgie to wear his tux to this event since his family was not able to be there and at their wedding. I think she said their wedding took place in Connecticut, so she wants
yeah.
Stacy and Florian to join her. And I don't have any issues necessarily with Stacy and Darcy. However,
I don't either.
I just have an understanding as to why they're on the show. I think they want the popularity that comes with being on reality TV, and I think they just want to be seen and show their lifestyle, which I have no issues with that. But for me, that kind of storyline, well, not to say that there is there that is their storyline, but they're the type that would bring up random drama. Like in The Last Resort, Darcy brought this drama up
Right.
to Stacy about Florian supposedly taking a girl home, which Florian kind of did say that it did happen, but these random things for drama to just kind of come up out of nowhere is extremely annoying to me, and it makes my viewing less desirable. It makes me not want to watch the show. But everything went well. When Stacy and Florian came into the room, everyone was kind of silent. No one said anything to them. It was really creepy when they first walked in, but everyone had a good time. There was no issues whatsoever. Darcy ended up drinking a little bit too much. She was, upchucking, outside of the van and things of that nature. So, what were your thoughts, Dustin, on this whole ceremony that they were having, which was seemingly drama free, which was surprising to me? So, what were your thoughts on their little ceremony that they had going on?
I love the ceremony, and I hope hope they stay together for the long haul. If that's okay. I like the ceremony so far. Mhm.
Absolutely. I hope so as well. Georgie seems to be a good guy. I'm surprised that Darcy is with him because, Stacy and this is, no shade to Georgie whatsoever. I'm just calling a thing here. Like, Georgie is not, a model looking type of guy. He just looks like a regular guy, which, there's nothing wrong with being regular. 80,
I agree.
80% of the population, I would think is regular looking. So, you know, I just hope that they have a fruitful relationship. I hope that they can keep the drama at bay so that we can enjoy them living their lives. So we'll see what happens, but I do like the sisterhood between Stacy and Darcy. To be honest, I really can't tell them apart. They look exactly the same to me. So I'd have issues with that personally, but it is what it is. But let's move on to the final couple that was featured on episode 12, which is Brandon and Julia. And Dustin, I have to tell you, um, during the last resort, I was completely 100% on Julia's side. I really, really was. I thought Brandon was acting like a crybaby. I thought that he was acting like a mama's boy that, wanted to get his mother's approval. And, I was really, really, really on Julia's side. However, I have completely changed my opinion on Julia. So, in the previous episode, on episode 11, they had a ceremony for their parents. Julia's parents were there. She was able to. Brandon agreed to bring Julia's parents over to America, so that he could make her happy, right? And Brandon's thing is that he wants to start a family with Julia. Um, he really, really wants to start a family with Julia. That's very, very important to him. However, Julia has the idea that she wants to go travel. She wants to go travel. She wants to, and for me, this entire time, I'm thinking Julia is just deflecting. Now, this is a very, very strange way to deflect, at least in my opinion, but it doesn't seem like Julia is doing too much to make Brandon happy. It seems like Julia, and that seems to be a theme with a lot of these women on these 90 Day Fiance shows, like they feel as though the world kind of revolves around them, and they feel as though their husbands or their significant others should cater to their every needs, and they really don't care about their husbands or their significant others needs, and I have a huge problem with that. And so they're having, they've had this conversation about having children for a long time. And in the previous episode, in episode 11, Julia revealed to both of their parents that, she has to have surgery in order for her to be fertile or something of that nature, something along those lines, that she needs surgery in order to be able to have a child. And she's nervous about being put under anesthesia, which at least in my opinion is just seems to be an excuse for her not to have the surgery or not to have children. I just don't think Julia wants to have children. I think she just doesn't want to have children. Reality with Krista Marie is here. Hello, Krista Marie. Thank you so much for being here, boo. So glad that you have joined us. So glad to see you in the comments, my love. Love you for watching, girl. Krista also has another comment here. Let me see here what she says. And she says hello to Robin. Thank you so much for that. Krista Marie. Um, Let me see here. And so Julia does not seem to be wanting to make Brandon happy necessarily. Um, and Krista Marie also says, "Hey, babe, thank you so much for that, Krista Marie. Love you, girl, for watching as always." And so Julia is starting to get on my last good nerve. Um, let's see here. So, yeah, Julia is starting to get on my last good nerve, y'all. I'm definitely not seeing it for Julia whatsoever. Um, she's not, it seems like she only wants things to go her way, and she really doesn't necessarily care whether Brandon is happy or not. She just wants to be happy. And you know, the fact that Brandon brought her family over here, which is one of the things that she wanted, now that he's brought them over here to America, not permanently, just to visit. Now that he wants her to acquiesce to what he wants, she just throws it away. She's like, oh, let's just travel. And then she says after they travel, then they can revisit the topic of having children, where I just feel as though Julia does not want to have kids at all, period. Making the decision as to whether you're going to have kids or not is a yes or no thing. Um, Krista Marie says, I cannot believe they are still together. I can't believe they're still together either. And I honestly feel as though Brandon should needs to leave Julia. I don't think Julia. This seems to be a relationship of convenience. I'm thinking maybe Julia just wanted to come over to America, but I don't know. Let's see here. Let me get to another comment. Krista Marie has another comment here, y'all. Y'all gotta bear with me with these comments, child. Y'all have to bear with me. And so Krista Marie also says, not with his parents. And then Krista Marie also says, the mom would steal the baby. Oh Lord, yes, yes, absolutely, yeah. I really don't care for Julia whatsoever. And I feel as though it is so unfair for Brandon to be doing all of these things for Julia, and then Julia really not acquiescing to anything that Brandon wants, which I believe is totally unfair. So when Brandon reveals to his parents that, first of all, Julia revealed to her parents that they want to be traveling, and Julia's parents are like, do you have, what about your plan B? She says that she wants to sell her apartment that she has in, I believe, Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, you guys. But she says that, she wants to sell her apartment so that they'll be able to have the funds in order to be able to travel. Kristen Marie also has some other comments here. She says, she says, didn't Betty cause a fuss when Julia and Brandon first appeared? Interesting that Julia go on birth control. And then she also says she is a user and she worked hard. Yes, she is a user for real. Julia is a user. I'm sorry, Robin said those things. I'm sorry about that. Robin said, didn't Betty cause a fuss with when Julia and Brandon first appeared? Interesting that Julia go on birth control. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Julia and Brandon right now. I really don't. It's a mess, and I feel as though Brandon deserves better. And so Brandon is shocked to find out that she has this plan B. That she had an apartment over in her home country just in case things didn't go right between her and Brandon is just now finding this out. So Julia has a tendency, as we saw in the last resort. Julia has a tendency to keep things from Brandon and just spring them onto Brandon when she feels as though it's convenient for her to do so. Lady Virgo says down here in the comments here to Robin Moore and reality with Krista Marie. Hey. Happy Monday to you guys. So yes, thank you so much for that, Lady Virgo. So yeah. I don't like Julia. I really don't like Julia at all. And so, then Brandon reveals to his parents that they want to travel. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know how long they're going to be out of the country, but they want to do these things. And Brandon's parents are like, "Why are you doing this?" And Julia is standing right there while he's telling them this, and They're like, you need money in order to be able to do these things. You have to have a plan. You can't just go all out of the country all willy-nilly just because you feel like you want to do this. And Brandon's parents said something very poignant, that Brandon is just doing these things to make Julia happy. And I'm starting to see this happening a whole lot with Brandon, that Brandon goes over and beyond for Julia to make Julia happy. Whereas I feel as though Brandon may have some issues with self esteem. I think Brandon may feel as though he may not be so desirable, I guess, to say things in a cautious way. And so I think he feels as though he's very blessed to have Julia, which we should all feel blessed to have any significant other. However, Julia is just as Krista Marie said, Julia is simply just using Brandon to get what she wants. And I don't feel as though that is fair to Brandon in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. I don't like that at all. I really don't like that whatsoever. So uh, Julia ends up storming off and saying that Brandon does nothing for her and she does everything for Brandon, which it's the truth of the matter is it's the total opposite. Brandon does everything for Julia, and Julia, I have not seen Julia do anything for. Well, yes, she did get a second opinion, so she did end up doing that. However, you know, having children is something that needs to be discussed before you even consider getting married. Because once you get married, your desire or non-desire to have children is not going to go away. And so it's very clear that Julia does not desire to have any children, and Brandon wants to have children. If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, if you disagree on the subject of children, your relationship is not going to work. I've never been in a relationship before, so who am I to say these things? But just going off of common sense, if you want to have a child and your significant other does not want to have a child, is going to be an issue. Dustin is coming back into the room. Hey, Dustin. Um,
Hey, sorry about
so
that. I didn't have no signal going down. Lost my internet signal. Sorry about that.
It's okay, Dustin. We're just going to wrap things up here really quickly. So I'm talking about Brandon and Julia, and the fact that Julia seems to not be doing too much of anything for Brandon, whereas Brandon seems to be doing everything to make Julia happy. And Brandon's parents said that he feels as though that Brandon has made the decision to go traveling with Julia as Julia has requested, just to make Julia happy. And I revealed to our audience before you came back in that I feel as though while we were watching them on The Last Resort, I was very much on Julia's side. However, now that I'm seeing them on Happily Ever After, my thoughts on them have changed significantly. And I don't see it for Julia whatsoever. I'm starting not to like Julia at all. And I feel as though Julia is just being a big crybaby. And she's like a spoiled child, a spoiled toddler. Just she wants to get everything that she wants her way or the highway. And Lady Virgo says facts. Thank you so much for that, Lady Virgo. So
That's
what
the
are your
truth.
thoughts
That ain't no.
on Julia and Brandon? Because I'm starting not to like Julia one bit.
I don't like Julia. Haven't never liked Julia. So to be honest with you, I hope they find. I hope they separate, because I don't see it lasting very much longer, Jonathan. So that's just how I feel with the couple, and I don't like Julia. Point blank in a period. He does not deserve to be treated like that.
Yeah, I don't like Julia either. She's getting on my last good nerve, and I honestly don't want to see her back on the show. And I do think, excuse me, I do
I
think
think
that
Brandon deserves better.
absolutely. I completely agree with you, Dustin. Brandon does deserve better. Brandon deserves someone who will go halfway with him. You know what I'm saying? Who will, give a little you have to give a little to get a little, and Julia refuses to give anything. And as I was saying before you came back on, Dustin, if there's an issue between you and your partner on the subject of children, it's going to be an ongoing
It's
problem.
going to
That
be a
problem
breaking
is
point.
never going to go away.
It's going to be a breaking point.
Yes, it definitely is going to be a breaking point. So I don't like Julia. I don't like the way that she is treating Brandon. And Brandon deserves better, as you said, Dustin. Brandon definitely deserves better. So we'll see what happens on the next episode. I hope that things get better. Not expecting
Yes.
them to get better, but we'll see whether they will or not. So, Dustin, why don't you give the people your social media contacts before we get out of here?
My social media contacts are Justin Butler. My Instagram is Justin Butler 700, and I want to thank Jonathan for being here last week when I couldn't be here, as I'm going through some things right now. So thank you very much, Jonathan, for that.
You're more than welcome, Dustin. You guys can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Jojo_speaks3020. My Facebook is Jonathan Lee. My email is WilliamJonathanLee@gmail.com. My Cash App is $ Jonathan Lee 07. That's $ JONATHANLEE 07. Thank y'all once again so much for joining us for our 90-Day Fiance Happily Ever After review. Be sure to join me on Thursday night at 8 p.m. for my Hot Topics and Social Commentary show. We always have a great time there talking about the latest goings on and happenings in the world. So be sure to join us on Thursday and also join us next week, same time, same place, same
Some
beautiful
beautiful faces.
faces. Until then, we'll say bye for now, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there and also stay cool out there because it's hot outside that door. Love you guys for watching. See you on the next video. Bye,
Love you all.
guys.